mercy that He has brought to us in form of our deen and the revelations and everything that He has communicated to us and the whole knowledge that He has provided. So as such, when we talk about economy, when we talk about Islamic finance, it's all rooted in Sharia. And this morning's session is going to explore the concept of Islamic economy as an ethical economy. Now, I come across this question a lot, that what exactly is meant by Islamic economy? Economy is economy, what's Islamic in that? Well, this is precisely what we will try to do this morning with the great speakers that we have, and especially with our Sheikh, Monzer, who is very well known and a very well respected academic and researcher and teacher in Islamic economy space, and we also have a much younger professor with us talking about the concepts and the premises of Islamic economy. What does that mean? How does it relate to the ethical economy? And then we will, in the end, we will have our third panelist, Dr. Melih, Turan, who is going to tell us how all this is going to come together. So we will talk about the concepts first, and then we will see how the practicality and how does it transform in the actual production. So starting with that, I think that I will ask first of all Dr. Yılmaz to present your paper, and I think we have a presentation. So let me introduce Dr. Yılmaz. He is an associate professor in the economics department of Istanbul University, and his paper is about ethical foundation of Islamic economics, advancing fairness and justice for societal welfare. So Dr. Isa, the floor is yours. The audience, including myself, is really keen to know that how do you see and how do you analyze actually the current economy and how do you relate it to Islamic economy and what's the ethical side of this?
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this session. And my presentation will be about ethical foundations of Islamic economics. So I have a presentation. I think you see that. Just click it. Okay. So the subtitle is Advancing Fairness and Justice for Societal Welfare. It means that we are looking for the ethical roots or foundations of Islamic economics and how it impacts on global fairness and also justice and individual and social welfare. So I'll make a very, very basic presentation and start with economics, the definition and the position of economics in our lives. So starting from the beginning, we have three different fields: banking, finance, and economy. In other words, we have banks, conventional and Islamic banks. Also, we have financial institutions and financial sector, financial markets, and also we have a wider economic system. So how do we locate, how do we distinguish between banking, finance, and economics? This is a very simple but I think very, very important question. So there are three possible solutions or alternatives for this. The first one, for me, it's at the left side. Banking, finance, and economics. These three fields, do they differ? And these are autonomous fields of these are autonomous fields. This is the first alternative. Is this the answer? When we look at the hierarchy between banking, finance, and economy. So the first solution says us that these are independent fields. Banking is different, finance is different, and economy is different. And the second one says that banking, finance, and economy, these three fields are interdependent and also intersectional. There are some intersection points between banking and finance. For instance, there are banking activities and also non-banking financial activities and also non-financial economic activities. And the third one says us that, if you look at the third three circles, it says us these are hierarchical or inclusive. The smallest circle is banking, and the second one is finance, and the third one is economy. It means that economy covers all of them, and banking, it is the smallest field of economic activities. Is this the case in terms of looking at the assets, global banking assets or financial assets, and looking at the non-financial sector, like the real economic sector? When we look at the real economic sector, I mean this world GDP. If you look at the world GDP, what's the size of the world GDP? So to answer this is the, by the way, this is a discussion. Why is this discussed? Because normally, sometimes we forget that finance is the largest sector in the global economy, and it should be. And when you want to develop as a country, as a whole economy, you have to invest most of your assets into financial fields so that you develop financially. So is this the case, or the alternative is we should diversify our investments to different fields? Like banking and finance is quite important, but there are some other fields as well, like industrial production, like agriculture, like the service sector, etc. So, as I believe, we should reconsider these hierarchical positions between banking, finance, and economy. Otherwise, we mix up some really essential issues. So, if I move on, the next point is that if we locate the position of banking, finance, and economics, and we said that here, the third one, there is an inclusive relationship between banking, finance, and economics, then we move to another point. This point is the question, where is the economy? Exactly, where is the economy? Economy is within a wider order. So what I mean is that there are some other systems as well, not just the economy. Politics, society, education, and other fields. But to make it simple, I put only three different fields, three different systems of politics, economy, and society. So there is, or the question is there an inclusive relationship between these systems? In other words, economy, is it the dominant field of system, or the dominant system that has superiority over other fields like politics? So, if it is the case, then we are talking about the market economy. Today, the global market economy dominates other fields like politics, society, etc. But what I mean the embedded version of the economic system. It means that right now, even if you see that there are some lines, certain lines, what I mean in theory, in Islamic economic theory, there is no line between different fields. Like, I mean the invisibility of the economy. If the economy is invisible, it means that if I look at the political aspects of a certain issue, I can see the economic aspect of it as well. So I cannot distinguish certainly and exactly. So this is what I mean. So the order determines how each economic system or political and other systems operate each other. This is the order. If we are talking about capitalist order, this is not, by the way, I mean that there is a strict distinction between capitalist, socialist, and Islamic economic system. There are some intersection points, but in general, I am stating that your choice for an order, I mean, ontological and epistemological roots of a thinking determines how you operate things, like an economy. So in an Islamic, in a capitalist order, the fields or the systems determine how each institution is operated. So this is very important. But if we are talking about an Islamic order, this politics, economy, and society, these three or more different areas and systems, they are not autonomous. They don't have any dominance over other systems. This is very important. So, the order, what I mean with order, is the totality of several systems. In an order, there are several systems, they integrate together. Through what? Through the ethical bonds, through the bond of ethical relationships. So, in other words, it means that the interaction between economy and society. All of them are integrated each other through the bond of ethical relationship. So you can say that in a capitalist economic system, it's a value-free economic system. So there is no value. You cannot think about, you cannot specify a certain ethical system. So this is value-free. How come it can, integrate into each other different systems through an ethical system? I can say that normally they say that it's a value-free science, but in fact it's a value-loaded system. And the ethical rules you can see, the neoclassical system is that utilitarian ethics. So accept or not, when you go to the university, undergraduate study, they teach the basic economics, they teach you that the marginal utility and marginal cost, the intersection point that you produce, isn't it? So this is the utilitarian ethics. So in an Islamic economic system, we are discussing what kind of ethical system we should adopt to integrate each system, not just the dominance of economics over other systems, all other systems, what is the coordination between themselves. So we should propose a certain ethical alternative to capitalist system. So the political economy, just to mention briefly, is the framework. This is the framework. If we are talking about an Islamic or capitalist or other political economic system, political economy means it's a framework through which relationships between individuals, society, market, and state are settled. What is the relationship between markets and society and states and other stakeholders? The study of these areas is called political economy, and we have market economy and moral economy. It seems like contradicting each other. Market economies or moral economies? Which one we should adopt as Islamic economic system? So this is the theoretical part that I want to draw for you as an aspiration. But in reality, what we have, if you look at the mainstream side, we see that globally there is a heavy dominance of financial system over non-financial sectors. How can I evidence this? Very simply, if you look at this figure, you see that the world GDPs over the years, over the 20 years, and also world or global financial assets. If you look at that, the gap between world GDP and financial assets, global financial assets, are widening. What does it mean? Most people, investors, they choose to invest in financial assets rather than real economic assets or non-financial assets. So is it problematic? This is another question, but let's see that first. It's a bit problematic issue. Why? I'll explain later. And if you see here, there are almost for the year 2022, for that year, the world financial assets are almost $600 trillion when compared to the world GDP. World GDP is only 100,000, 6 times. And you see another graph here. On the vertical side, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the year, the last year, 2023, it's almost 5 times because of the global pandemic. After the global pandemic, global financial system, the size diminishes and the world GDP also diminishes. But starting with 6 times of world GDP, now 5 times, around 5 times of world GDP is allocated to the global financial assets. So, what I mean finance. Finance dominates the economy in general. But remember the first one, banking, finance, and economy, the relationship between banking, finance, and economy. The largest one should be the economy, in terms of asset size, I mean. But here we see a financialization stream dominating the world economies. So, the next question is, what's the position of Islamic finance? Because Islamic finance is a financial alternative. Even if it's an asset-backed financial system, it's a financial alternative. So, how we approach Islamic finance when we see these developments in the conventional side? Okay, this is important. So, you see here the IFSB report, the latest IFSB report. If I look at just to evidence from a certain point of view that Islamic finance is globally, increasing and growing thanks to the investments in different fields like Islamic banking, non-banking, and other fields like capital markets, etc. In total, it has $3.2 trillion Islamic finance global asset size. On the left side, I have chosen a report, and just to mention, just to see what are the sizes of non-financial Islamic economic activities in terms of consumer spending. If you look at that, the size of halal food is $1.4 trillion in the year of 2022. And other fields like molestation, Muslim-friendly travel, and these all headings and titles are, are from real economic side. So in total, it makes $2.2 trillion. When compared to the Islamic finance, there is a difference. There is a difference, and all other fields of non-financial economic, Islamic economic activities, and on the other side, Islamic financial assets, a heavy dominance of Islamic finance. That's a very good, in one point, it's a very good opportunity for us because Islamic finance is developing. But now, the next question is that, what are the components of Islamic finance? Which areas we see Islamic finance is investing? So, this is important. Going back to the conventional side, the consequences of financialization, you can say that, okay, everything is good with the rise of finance because in the global times, the contemporary times, we need to develop financially, otherwise you cannot grow or you cannot develop, you cannot reach a high levels of GDP. If you look at the components of GDP for the advanced countries, financial markets dominance. So, the rise of finance, the uncontrolled rise of finance, what does it mean? It means that it's the rise of global inequalities. We see in 2008 crisis and also global pandemic crisis, financial crisis. And before that, the Great Depression, etc., the national financial crisis, every time repeating financial crisis. So we should question this system, isn't it? If we question this system, we see high speculation, high risk, and in terms of Islamic terms, interest or riba and haram. So what's our alternative to this system? Because the crisis occurred or exists because of these very, very important criteria or principles that is overlooked over the years. So repeating another financial crisis is possible right now. We are in the process of financial crisis, due to the global pandemic. So we should offer an alternative different from the conventional side, conventional financial system. So a rising indebtedness, this is another problem. And if you look at the OIC countries or the Middle East GCC countries, specifically what's the level of indebtedness in terms of the companies, in terms of households, individuals, it's rising. So what's our role as an Islamic finance experts, professionals and academics, diverting from the conventional side and implying that we should really, invest in the real side of the economy through Islamic finance. Again, we can say that Islamic finance is already an asset-backed system. So there is no delinking from economy and finance. This is another discussion, and I will leave this point to the discussion. So another point is environmental crisis, social and financial crisis. These are the very well-known problems. All of you know, I guess. And what is the suggestion? What is the policy against these problems? The first one, the global policies, SDGs, and Islamic finance industry. Most of the Islamic finance experts, they directly accept these goals, SDGs. Yes, no poverty, no hunger, etc. But how can we implement? This is the point. Yes, these are the problem detections, but how can we imply? How can we implement on it? This is not just an economic issue. This is also a political issue and also societal issue. So this is a very, very important issue. And also CSR issues, ESGs, and social impact finance, green finance. These are all suggestions and global policies to remedy the problems of global financial system. So Islamic finance. Here, I think it's more than 10 minutes that I stop right now. Islamic finance, has a great promise because looking back its origins, the aspirations of Islamic economic system suggest a specific Islamic finance system which is ethical. Ethical values are embedded within the economic system. So we shouldn't expect a global financial crisis if we follow our criteria and principles. So it meets, the basic ethical principles, and it offers success in terms of, transactional development and also transformational development. We want to transform something which is problematic, something, in the financial field which is very toxic. Too many toxic assets, in the global finance. How can we transform or leave them all and suggest another financial system? Islamic finance has a great opportunity for us. For more than 50 years, it has, I think right now it has at the crossroads. If Islamic finance will converge towards conventional finance and become a hybrid, outcome of it, or it will diverge from the conventional financial system and will offer an authentic alternative. Because we are in search of suggesting a meaning or finding a meaning for a new finance. And this finance is a participatory finance. So that's very important. And it's also responsible finance. So there are some other issues in Islamic, I think all of you know, in Islamic financial system, there is an accountability to God, to Allah. And also, we do not seek only for profit, not just profit, but also more than profit, sharing, a sharing economy understanding, and we should propose business ethics. Otherwise, it's not possible to reach authenticity. So, moving from this point, as you see here, most of the Islamic financial products today, they are Sharia compliant. There are some controversial contracts accepting these, contracts. Most of them Sharia compliant. Now it's time to move from Sharia compliances to Sharia based. So that's a very important task of us. And there are some stakeholders in the field, not just Islamic finance experts, and also there are the academia, in which we are doing some work and studies, and research and development, training, and CSR. So this is the ecosystem of Islamic finance. We need to do collaboration with each other so that we gain authenticity. So I think it's, that's the end of the presentation, and I have discussions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Yılmaz. You have set the scene, and I'm wondering actually probably that all of you are. That is there, this concept of Islamic economy. Is this real, or is this just a dream that we are all having, but it probably won't happen? So can I ask the audience here, I want to make the audience a little bit this morning, it's Saturday, and still early in the morning. How many people actually believe that Islamic economy is real? It may not be a reality now, but it can materialize, it can actually happen. It can effectively happen. It's not just only a concept. Please raise your hands, those who think that actually is doable. Okay, around 60%. And some of the hands came up very reluctantly, so I will think, okay, so let's say 2/3 of the audience believes that it's real, it can happen. How many of the the people who raise their hand, they believe that it's happening now? Okay, very little. So I will give maybe 10 to 15% of the audience. See, there is actually a big gap. I think, in my view, this is my personal view, I may be wrong, that Islamic economy is real, it's not only just a concept. It's a dream, but no dream becomes reality until you actually work. And what we are not doing as as a collective, as a society, as a Muslim society, or as the Ummah, or as the Islamic economist, or Islamic economy, or Islamic finance player, we are actually not doing enough to make it happen. So it's there, but it's not coming together, not because of someone else's fault, not because it's not workable, just because there's a shortcoming at our end. Anyway, we will come to this later in the Q&A session. I would like to develop a little bit more on this, maybe asking some suggestions from the audience. But let's move on to the next panelist. Professor Dr. Monzer Kahf. His name is, mashallah, known. It doesn't need an introduction, but he is a professor of Islamic finance and economics at the Faculty of Economics and Management in Istanbul University. He is going to talk about benevolence in Islamic economy, exploring the concept of ultimate giving and its implications. Before I hand over the floor to Professor Monzer Kahf, I would just like to hint upon this. When it comes to ultimate giving, right? This is again something that actually does not resonate with the conventional finance system. What Isa explained. Where finance, which is a part of economy, is actually eating the economy itself, right? So the financial part is actually much bigger than the economy itself, and hence we are having these gaps, and hence we are having a lot of these issues with climate change, with society, and so on and so forth. Now, where does this benevolence part fit into this? How, when everybody is working for money, everybody is working for all the institutions, and the management of the institutions is working only for one thing, and that's primarily the shareholders' value, the bottom line. So how can we fit the benevolence in that? Can we do that, or is it again another theory that we have? Professor Monzer, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad. My colleague really talked quite a bit about what is Islamic economics and what is there, and then you voted for whether it is real or not real. Sometimes I am asked, which is the closest economy to Islam? And my answer usually is the United States of America. Because the United States of America was able to increase the welfare of the person to a large degree that many other economies could not make that. And is it not servicing human being is the objective, the ultimate objective, and the stage-wise objective also of Islamic economics? So if we serve human beings, I think this is the best that we can do. And okay, no doubt that the American economy has several problems. Oh, they deal with riba, a lot of riba, yes, but still they were able to achieve quite a bit of services to human development, to human beings, to servicing human beings. So let me come to the basics. And in the basics, come to talk about what is really Islamic economics. Very often, we, especially people who were trained under the secular economy, we were trained economics as known by everybody in the Western countries and in the Muslim westernized countries also anywhere. This is the way economics is taught generally in all universities. So those people of us who are trained this way very often don't feel able to go back to the fundamentals of Islamic economics and where do we get it from. I like to begin with the verse in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ. And notice al-adl wal-ihsan. And these are the fundamental two pillars of Islamic economics. So when we say Islamic economics, it has to be based on al-adl, and it has to have a sizable effort also of ihsan. So when we look at it that way, then I think we can probably look at some changes in our mentality, in our thinking, that we need to reconsider really a few things. Let me take my notes because the Islamic economics then, why should the finance be of a great size? And why really the finance is not what services a human being? You are not going to eat finance or wear finance or live in a finance. Definitely, then the servicing a human being is the main objective of the Islamic economy, and this should be based on adl. For instance, when we apply al-adl wal-ihsan, don't we see that Islamic finance should be then based on the principle of ownership, owning assets that generate added value. And if you don't own an asset that generates added value, then you are not entitled to any increment. How would you claim increment if you own assets that do not generate added value? That is in finance, but is it not the same thing also in the theory of production and in the theory of consumption? Isn't ownership is the fundamental principle on which production stands and also consumption stands? Now, this is perhaps one of the reasons why our fiqh says when it talks about an aspect of ihsan, that is the ihsan in zakah, through zakah, that they say zakah should be based on ownership in two ways. Ownership, that is zakah, is on your property that you own, and also ownership in a sense that when you distribute zakah to the poor and needy, they should become owners of the zakah, the thing that is given to them. And without becoming owners of the things that is given to them, you would not have discharge of your zakah. That means that we really need to look at where the adl stands. Is it not a principle of adl that you earn by owning, and if you don't own, you are not qualified to earn? Of course, we are talking about finance here. But so it is a principle of adl. But if you own, remember that there are the other part of ihsan, that society must also be based, in addition to adl, on ihsan. That is your property. It's interesting really to think of the implication that this is really a God-owned property, not yours, and that it is in fact God gave it to you, and it is even a beggar stands in the street of any city in the Muslim land and say, "Min malillah, give me from what God gave you." So the idea of being owned by you requires fulfilling the other aspect of it. And this other aspect of it is equally important. It is not less important than the production itself. It is the generation of added value. It is equally important that when it comes to what you own, there is a right of others in your property. And let's notice that Islam is the only ideology, I don't know if we like to say it's only religion, but ideology that requires or that establishes that there is a right in the property of the rich for the poor and needy, for the others. There is a right, and this right must be completely given, even if it were that you become less richer and become less wealthy, that right to the poor, they own in fact part of that property. By the fact, by the Islamic economic system, they own. It's a right for them. It's not something that you give out of your goodwill. the right of the poor and needy. So the concept of ihsan then comes all the time in the mentality of the Muslim mind, in the mentality of Islamic economy, that both of them, while adl is important, ihsan is equally important, and ihsan should be fulfilled even if it were to mean less wealth to the wealthy and more equitable distribution of wealth by the law of God, by the law of Islamic economics. So when I talk about Islamic economics, I like to come to the source of it really, which is the Quran and the Sunnah. So when I look at it from the Quran, I notice, for instance, that al-adl comes all the time, and in Islamic finance is so clear, but also in production, in determination of salaries of employees, in determinations of the taxing system, in determination of the contracts that are established between people, whether they are in finance area or they are in other real market, real services, goods and services and assets. The adl is essential in them, but also the ihsan is the other pillar of it. So if I take some examples from Islamic finance, for instance, is it not part of the ihsan that Islamic finance, that finance should not really be available to any, to the production or the exchange of any commodity or any item that may hurt a human being? Is it not part of the ihsan that when we say Islamic finance is committed to the moral values that require no hurt to anybody, and no hurt to anybody means literally that we don't finance anything that may cause any harm to any human being. This is why we don't finance liquor, for instance. Is financing liquor comes under any normal ethical value, any normal adl or ihsan? It is not really of adl that someone sells you a thing that hurts you. So production of things that are harmful, as well as financing things that are harmful, that is in violation of the principle of adl. Is it adl to give you something that hurts you and still take from you a price of that thing, take from you part of your wealth? Where is the adl in it? I am hurting you, and at the same time I'm taking part of your property. This is not adl, really. We need to think of it out of the box, not from within the mentality that these are things that exist in the market and are available for sale. They shouldn't be really available for sale. They shouldn't be available for finance. So from the point of view of adl, notice here we make that sound, because preventing the production and the financing of things that hurt the human being, whether in their body or in their society or in their environment. So producing such things and financing such things is also in application of the principle of ihsan. While it is based on adl, but it is at the same time, it is ihsan. So producing things that benefit the human being and making research for things that benefit the human being, isn't that part of the ihsan also? This is why I would say the economy that produces more of the actual goods and services that serve the human being is a more Islamic economic applied in reality than an economy that does not produce more of things that benefit the human being. That whether quantitatively or qualitatively, both ways they fall under the adl and the ihsan together. I hope I made my idea clear and that I was able to pass it on to you. So the adl and ihsan in the Islamic economic thinking are so much intermingled together that they cannot be separated by anyone. And they are in reality also intermingled together in the human life of any human being, regardless of religion and all other differences between us. Thank you very much for
Thank you so much for this wonderful piece of wisdom on adl and ihsan. And sometimes, I feel actually that this is a very big, dilemma that the people involved in Islamic economy and especially Islamic finance are facing almost on a daily basis. What I mean by that is that the shareholders of the financial institutions, the management of the financial institutions, and even the, of course, the employees and the customers of Islamic financial institutions, they always have this dilemma that there is an opportunity there to make money, right? Maybe by extending finance or taking finance, and so on, making an investment and so on. There is an opportunity to make money. There is an opportunity to create financial value. But this dilemma that what Sheikh Kahf said, this dilemma that shall we do it or shall we? Should I be part of this? Am I actually doing something good for the humanity, for the world, or am I actually causing harm to other people? And despite having this opportunity, foregoing this opportunity, having the opportunity but foregoing it in the name of Allah, that is something that's extremely virtuous. And this is a point I think that most of the time gets ignored because we always concentrate on the this never-ending debate of it's all about contracts and whether the agreement is musharaka or murabha or whatever. Yes, that is also important, but there is a very, very important aspect that needs to be always borne in mind. That when a depositor makes the deposit in an Islamic financial institution with the intention of keeping their deposit in a Sharia compliant way, when the investment manager of the financial institutions makes a decision about an investment in a project on the basis of okay, I have two projects, I can make more money, I can have a higher return from here, I can earn a bigger bonus from here. But I'm not going to do that because this is actually not adl, this is causing zulm, this is causing harm to people. So instead I will go to the other project which is lower return, which is better for people. I will accept that. Even I don't meet my target and I miss my bonus, I will still do it. This is something that's extremely virtuous, and even the shareholder of the financial institution, if they accept that okay, their return is probably less than if they invested in a financial institution, this is something that really needs to be appreciated, that really needs to be celebrated, and we hope inshallah that this is something that is rewarded in this world and the hereafter by the Almighty, and we all have this spirit. And this spirit needs to be applied more into our daily life, not only in financing, but in the overall economic activities. Now let's go to the next panelist, and this is Dr. Melih Turan, the co-founder and CEO of Gold Framework. His paper is Empowering Tomorrow: The Role of Youth in Advancing Islamic Banking Practices through Digital Economy Initiatives. Now, why I believe this third presentation is also very important because this is actually providing the link. Until now, the two presentations that we saw this morning, they are about the concept, about the bigger picture. But what does it mean in practical terms? governance. How do we take these concepts and transform them into something that is valuable, something that is creating real value, that is helping, the true economic development, not only financial gain, right? And keeping the virtue of adl and ihsan. How do we do that, and how do we try to transform things into something tangible and something productive? So, Dr. Melih, go ahead.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Mr. Turan, I am the founder and CEO of World Framework. Actually, I'm very happy to be here as all employee of Al-Baraka and second group event of Al-Baraka. Can you please share my slide on the screen today? Okay, thank you so much. I know it's all the topic of this exercise, but I will focus on the individual initiatives of Islamic banking and ethical finance actually. And I will speak on probably tomorrow the role of group in advancing Islamic banking practices through digital economic initiatives actually. I will first focus on the fintech revolution. We have to know the fintech revolution to understand the Islamic fintech and Islamic finance innovations and in terms of digital transformation. And then I will talk about the effect of young entrepreneurs in Islamic finance and some recommendations for for Islamic economy. Firstly, we have to understand the fintech and the fintech revolution actually. In Turkish dictionary we have the definition of fintech. It's called an organizational product that offers financial services with innovative, complementary and accelerating business models and digital technologies. So the key thing is here the fintech will be financial service. The fintech will serve in financial service is a business model of innovative, complementary and accelerated, and to use digital technologies. And if you look from different sides of fintech, sometimes the fintech is understanding about like it's just cryptocurrency, it's just blockchain. But then differentiation the fintech and decentralized finance. There are human financial ecosystems like big banks, this big banks, public sites, some charter and insurance companies. These are the incumbent financial ecosystem. And what differentiates fintech from this incumbent financial ecosystem is the first one is the fintech. The term fintech is, of course, it's financial technology, the short term of financial technology, but the fintech and the centralized finance is a bit different. The centralized finance is focusing mainly on blockchain, mainly on cryptocurrencies, but fintech is directly related to the incumbent financial system. They work with the incumbent financial, they work with banks, they work with insurance companies, but the DeFi, the centralized finance industry, doesn't work mainly with the incumbent financial system. So I differentiate the fintech and DeFi, and I call fintechs that are working with incumbent financial ecosystem. And to look from a broader perspective, what is fintech? If you unbundle a bank, this is a bank website actually, you see a bank website and in the middle, and if you unbundle the fintech website, you can see that the financial services that has been served by a bank are unique business models. For example, there are some home financing, insurance, investment services, but all the brands that you see on this bank website are focusing on just one business model in terms of financial services, and they are serving this business model just in a digital way. And this differentiates the fintech and bank. And if you look to the transformation of the financial technology, you can go through the transatlantic cable. There are some definitions that are going to transatlantic cable that start 90s, but if you look from the real technological role, like internet, like computer, PC, actually the fintech revolution started after 90s. Yeah, before that, there were banking technologies, of course. After the computer systems has been developed, the banks needed some core banking system to operate in the market. There were some software companies focused on banking technologies, but all fintech, which are focusing apart from the banks on different business models, it started in the 90s with the development of the internet. And the first and the well-known example of this area is PayPal. It's the example at the moment. Of course, there will be some local fintechs as well in different areas, but the well-known and the prominent fintech was PayPal at the end of the 90s. Then there came some different mobile payments like M-Pesa, Lupa, and then came the big companies like Amazon and Apple, Google. They have created their own financial services related to their core business models. And then after the financial crisis, the Bitcoin revolution came, the blockchain revolution came, and it's encouraged the ecosystem to work apart from the banking system. And you know, Bitcoin's main business model is focusing on peer-to-peer cash transfers. It's not just, actually it was not focused on to be an asset, to be a digital asset. It was just focusing on peer-to-peer cash transfer system. And it encouraged the ecosystem to create a centralized economy, centralized finance. And after the mobile revolution, mobile phone revolution, after Apple's iPhone and the Android software, fintech has been go fast because the applications enable people to use financial services at their home. So after 2015, many investments, many banks and new business models emerged in the market, and like MasterCard and Visa, they have also created their own solutions. And if you look from the categorical side, you can see that the fintech in general term cannot say that it is so in the definition. There are some innovative, accelerating, and complementary business models. If you say this is a bank, it's okay, but if you say this is a fintech, it's not okay, because the fintech could be infrastructure, the fintech could be an orchestration product, the fintech could be an app. So if we differentiate from the category side, you can see that the infrastructure layer, where you can see just softwares, you can see you can use core banking system. There's an orchestration layer where you can see some business models like open banking services, identification, and gateways, and etc. And at the end layer, you can see that these applications are just for end users. And these are some examples of the application layer, like payments. You can see PayPal here, and digital banking, credits, capital markets, and insurance. There are lots of well-known fintechs in the world. Of course, these are conventional fintechs. Now, we can understand the Islamic fintech innovation after knowing the fintech revolution. Actually, if you look to the past, you can see that, of course, with the evolution of the digital technologies, the first IT companies focusing on Islamic financial institution evolved in the MENA region, and they are now leading ITS is part of Great Finance House, and now it's developing core banking solutions. Actually, PET Solutions was also a core banking solution for banks, but it has been acquired from another fintech company. These are the first examples that, of course, there were also different companies in the world, like in Turkey. Al-Baraka has also developed its first core banking system at the 80s and the 90s. It was called Algos. But if you look from today, and you can see that the Islamic fintech market has been growing really well. And today it's about $130 billion, about $130 billion, and it shows that many countries, many industries are focusing on Islamic financial technologies, and it has been expected that in a couple of years it will be doubled, and it will be $300 billion. If you look to the countries, you can see that, of course, Saudi Arabia and Iran, they are ruled by Sharia, so the market is just focusing on Sharia compliant financial technologies. They are the biggest market, and then comes the South Asian countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, and of course in the MENA and in GCC there are also some good examples. But if we look to the Islamic fintech index, and Malaysia is leading the industry, all the market is not so big like Saudi Arabia. Iran is leading it's leading the way of financial technology. And we can see this index, non-OIC countries like UK, like United States, like Switzerland. There are lots of countries, non-Muslim countries, who have a higher index in terms of Islamic fintech than Muslim countries. And this table shows that we have the Islamic fintech industry, the Islamic banks could not serve non-Muslim countries. So it enables Islamic fintech to serve Muslims in their countries. And if you look at the size look at the numbers of fintech now, it's about 400. If you remember yesterday, they mentioned about Islamic banks in the world, it was about 600. And the total institutions, Islamic financial institutions in the world is about 1,500. So yeah, of course, this is not just Islamic fintechs actually. There are also some Sharia compliance solutions who are not just focused on Islamic finance, but the number of Islamic fintechs are increasing, and I think in 5 or 10 years, they will be more than Islamic banks in the world, more than other Islamic financial institutions. So if you look from the youth perspective, actually, like Mr. Yunus explained to guys and their focus on youth, on OIC countries, and if you look from this perspective, how the young people, young entrepreneurs affected the Islamic finance industry, we can see that mainly, not all, but mainly, fintech companies has been established by young entrepreneurs, and most of them are not, they don't have any Islamic finance experience. They have finance experience, but they don't have Islamic finance experience. And to give you some examples, for example, Tabi is a Saudi company, and it's the first unicorn in the world, Islamic fintech unicorn. I recall unicorn is a $1 billion company in the internet ecosystem, the startup ecosystem. And Tabi is the first Islamic fintech unicorn in the world, and it shows that Islamic fintech can be a unicorn, can be a good startup, can be a big startup. And these are young people, and they have affected the finance ecosystem in Saudi Arabia, and they want to also expand to the region. If you look from the decentralized finance side, although there are some debates on decentralized finance side in terms of Sharia compliance, but there are many projects, there are many products that are emerging in just in DeFi, not focusing on conventional financial services. And Benevolence DeFi is one of leading examples and prominent examples, and it's also has been established by young entrepreneurs. There's Hijra. Hijra is an Indonesian digital bank focusing on the South Asia industry, and they are getting lots of investments, like about $50 million fund in terms of funding, and they have created a new digital banking model in Indonesia. There is Mizan. Of course, there are lots of examples in the world. Mizan is in France, in Canada. There are some financing and credit companies, and Mr. Farrukh, Raza is also one of the founders of them. He's founder of Ivan, of course. And there are also some examples in the UK, like FIDA, Wayhome, and you can see in capital markets issues and crowdfunding. For example, Zoya, Wahid, and Mustafa are changing the capital markets in Islamic finance. They are focusing on young people who want to invest in terms of Sharia compliance. And they are giving the list, for example, the list of stocks in the world where Muslims can invest in terms of Sharia compliance. So they have more than, some of them have more than 100,000 customers, some of them more than 500,000 customers. So they are based in America, they are based in the UK, they are serving the global Ummah in terms of Islamic finance, and they are doing what Islamic banks cannot do. And this is very, very important, because, for example, young people, a young Muslim wants to invest in stock, but he cannot invest from France, from Germany to Turkish stocks, to US stocks. He doesn't know if it's Sharia compliant or not. And this kind of participating financial services, Islamic financial services, helps people to invest in Sharia compliant funds, ETFs, and stocks. There are also some insurance companies focusing on, it's called also insurtech in startup ecosystem, like digital Thematical solutions like Melih, Kahf, and there are also some crowdfunding platforms. These are also established by young people. Launchcode is one of the leading crowdfunding platforms, and they have more than 1 million donors. Can you imagine 1 million donors? None of the Islamic banks have 1 million customers in the world. So they have a global outreach to young Muslims who want to donate Islamic campaigns and charities. And ETIS is also one of the first examples of crowdfunding in terms of property, PropTech and property crowdfunding, real estate crowdfunding. And now we are also, I'm the founder of Gold Frame, and we are focusing on a different area like Islamic art. We are enabling to invest people in Islamic art fractionally, and this enables a new asset-backed security, an asset-backed token, and it's the first of its kind. And this is the main thing, and I just want to focus on this. What encouraged me to be an entrepreneur as a young people. I was previously working at Al-Baraka, and I was a part of Al-Baraka Garage in Startup Accelerating Center. I was part of the entrepreneurship center in Al-Baraka. And at that time, the managers of Al-Baraka, Mr. Melih, Mr. Melih, Mr. Kemal, Mr. Farrukh, and they encouraged people and the employees in terms of entrepreneurship. For example, at that time, I was developing a zakat calculation system for Al-Baraka, and it was before the religious affairs of Turkey, for the Diyanet. And such attempts in Islamic banks helps people to be an entrepreneur, and create some good digital products for the Islamic economy. And the key thing here is what could Islamic economic institutions, Islamic financial institutions can focus, managers can focus on fintech, Islamic fintech. There are lots of opportunities. And for example, there's banking as a service model, business model. We were the first team at Al-Baraka to have created the first digital Islamic bank in Germany. It's called Inshallah, you know, and it was based on banking as a service model. It wasn't great attempt of Al-Baraka, although it's not live at the moment, but it was an attempt to change the Islamic financial innovation. It encouraged many people to create Islamic fintechs. There is an open banking industry, embedded finance, and in the embedded finance area, like what's doing Mr. Farrukh at Icon, you can easily integrate Islamic banks and create your own startup. You don't need to be getting a banking license. You don't need to get an insurance license. You just you need just to have this entrepreneurial mindset and to create collaboration, to create partnerships with banks. And now some Islamic fintechs are emerging this partnership of Islamic banks. And crowd investing is an opportunity, open finance is now emerging actually, and venture capital is also emerging. DeFi is a different area, but there will be good examples, inshallah. And in capital markets, there are some good examples, but we need more. And compliance, regulation technologies, Sharia compliance technologies also is an opportunity Islamic fintech. And just some recommendations for the Islamic banking institutions. Actually, in order to foster Islamic financial services, in order to foster the Islamic financial innovation, the banks, the holdings, needs to invest in Islamic fintechs. At this time in the world, unfortunately, there doesn't exist any Islamic fintech. There's just one now. It's just recently established, but the Islamic banks do not lead the way. They invest in Turkey. We have some venture capital funds that has been established by Islamic banks, but in the world, but the volume is really low. We need to increase the volume of venture capital funds in order to foster the innovation in Islamic finance. And DeFi is also a new area, and Islamic banks should consider to do some good projects in this area in terms of digital of assets, in terms of exchange. Unfortunately, there are debates. We didn't solve the Sharia compliance problem, but we have to be eager to solve this debate actually, and we have to focus on creating new initiatives on decentralized finance, because it enables us to serve an Islamic financial service regardless of country, regardless of regulation. For example, some tokenization projects helps Islamic banks, Islamic financial institutions to let people invest from abroad. If you want to invest in school from Turkey, you cannot do investing in many school markets. But this kind of DeFi applications help to broaden the financial services. And Sharia Sandbox is also a new proposition to develop such financial innovations. What's in sandbox? In regulatory sandbox means that fintechs are coming to the regulator and saying that I have a new idea, we can test it with you, and they enable in sandbox to the fintechs in order to test their ideas, in order to look if it's compliant with the regulation or not. And Islamic banks and Islamic financial institutions can create some Sharia sandbox for DeFi, for new innovations, because if we discuss new business models just in some papers, just in such panels, it doesn't have any sense actually. We have to discuss these products in the real industry, in the front of the regulator. So the Sharia sandbox concept is also very important for the regulators. Tokenization is also a very important thing for the next big thing in Islamic economy. And I believe that Islamic economy will grow with an entrepreneurial mindset. Of course, there will be young people, there will be old people, it doesn't matter, experienced people, but the entrepreneurial mindset is very important to grow the Islamic financial ecosystem, to grow the Islamic economy. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Melih. Your concept of Sharia sandbox, I think, is very interesting, and I think it really needs to be taken forward by different players. I don't know exactly where to locate it. I think this is very important for encouraging the young entrepreneurs to set up businesses that are Sharia compliant, are actually contributing to the economic development of the country and the nation, and also Sharia compliant. So yeah, this is, I think, a very good idea. And it was also very pleasing to me to see two of the think tanks where I have been a co-founder on your list as well. So thank you for that. Okay, having heard from all three panelists and now, mashallah, we have a house full. I would like to open the floor for the questions from the audience. So we have the first hand. If we can give a mic to the gentleman, please. Is there a microphone for the audience, please?
Assalamu alaikum. Abdul Shashi, Professor of Islamic Economics and Finance in Sabah Al University, colleague of Dr. Monzer. My question is for Professor Monzer. He reminded us of a verse that every leader or every imam of the mosque, everyone will tell their imam with us at the end of the khutbah, of course, we are not questioning what Allah says in the Quran and the Sunnah, but there is comparison, there is contrast between infaq and riba. People feel that when they give riba or they take riba, they increase their wealth, and when they give charity, they decrease. Prophet said, so we just want to the wisdom behind how to understand this increase of charity coming back to us. Of course, when we give charity, we are giving it from Malullah wa Atama. We are not giving the favor to those in need. But just we need to know that how I can understand the wisdom behind that. When I give charity, Allah will give me back more and more, maybe not in this world, but even in the hereafter. But when I get it back, it comes back in a negative way on the economy and the question of
asking that every Jummah, the Imams, they talk about other than Islam. So he's saying that when we believe that if we take riba or we give riba, then people feel like that they are getting the reward immediately. When we give sadaqah, when we give charity, Allah says that I will reward you more, right? But people see this as the money going out, not coming in. So how can we, convince ourselves, or how can we feel actually that, it is going to help us in this dunya and in akhirah by foregoing riba, because Allah has forbidden it, and by doing more charity, because Allah has promised to give us more in this world and the hereafter.
The issue of riba is an issue of justice. You are taking from the other person's property without giving anything really, because in riba it's a debt, and the debt does not generate any added value. And if it doesn't generate added value, by what reason you can claim an added value? In fact, there is no added value produced by the debt to start with. And if there is any added value generated in the hands of the borrower, it is that added value is his, because it was his property that grew. It was his property that created the added value, and definitely he deserved it. The lender doesn't deserve any part of it, because the lender owns a debt, doesn't own the lira, for instance, that were given as loans. With the moment they are given as loans, they are owned by the other. These physical liras are owned by the borrower. So there is no added value. The claim is in violation of justice. The claim of riba is in violation of justice. Now, giving sadaqah, now I don't mind, even if it were, you are required to pay the right of the others, even if that means your wealth will decline. And let it decline. Who said it shouldn't be declining? It is okay to decline. God gave a promise. God will fulfill His promise, either in this life or in the afterlife. It's irrelevant to providing or giving the right of the other. If it is right of the other, then it should be given, regardless of whether this reduces your wealth or does not reduce it. In the issue of interest, you are taking a thing that was not even generated. You are not taking really an increment, because your property does not create increment. A debt does not create an increment. And real production may create increment, but you are not part of the real production. The creditor is not part of the real production. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheikh Monzer. With your permission, I would just like to add one point here as well about how to feel, or how to understand this concept of giving charity, and then whether it will come back home and how it will be rewarded. I think this is again a continuous test from Allah of our iman. If we believe that Allah is the one who is the creator and the one who is the sustainer, and He is the Lord of all dominion, and He is capable of doing whatever He wants. So then we are actually putting trust in Him, and we are saying, okay, I have this property, as Sheikh Monzer said, I have this property, I give this property away, by my own will, in putting my trust in Allah, hoping and believing that inshallah He will reward me as He promised. This is actually a faith in having Allah's promise, and this is a test for us. So if we pass this test, then by no means it can happen that we don't get the reward. And the reward is again reward cannot be always monetary. The reward can be monetary or non-monetary. Only Allah knows how will we get the reward, and it will be much bigger. This is our test of faith. And if we pass this test, inshallah, I think it will be great. But it's not easy, and it's a little bit challenging. But this is the test. I think.
This may mean that only believers in Allah and believers in the Day of Judgment who will give charity. But we know in reality that everybody gives charity. Even the atheists, even all kinds of people give charity. So this is part of the human being, the human feeling. It is part of being a human, is to give charity. But our Islamic economics emphasized it a lot more by making it a right. You have to pay taxes, even if that reduces your wealth. And you have to pay the right of the others, even if that means reduces your wealth. What is the problem? It is part of your human duties that you live in a society. The taxpayer or the tax collector will not tell you, oh, I'm going to give you an addition later. You pay the tax anyway, even if it means that you have to, that reduces your property. It is right of the poor. It's not yours. In fact, it is under your hand, but it belongs to the other guy. And not giving it is violation again of the principle of justice.
Thank you, Sheikh Monzer. Microphone, please, here. Okay.
Actually, I don't have a question about my comments. Iran is Zakata, Islamic Finance Research Platform. So I would like to share my experience. My first, second degree is in Islamic Finance. So a couple of years ago, I wanted to start a crowdfunding platform for agro projects in Kazakhstan. So I talked to farmers, I conducted surveys among the public, and found out that there is very low literacy rate among people. And this is not only the case in Kazakhstan, but later I talked with UK-based consultancy firm and who provide consultancies to governments on building ecosystem. And they said that this is a problem everywhere, in every country. So there is very low literacy rate in Islamic finance. So I also talked to potential investors, and they are from conventional sectors actually. And they said there is no difference between Islamic and current practices. In terms not of philosophy, but current practices. So they don't see any difference because sell and buybacks things, they don't see any differences. And later on, I decided to focus on Islamic finance literacy project, which I had. I started as a base. I took AOP standards. I wanted to develop larger project, which could be applicable in every world. Multi-language hub, which will have the same information. Of course, there is information on internet, but it's very scattered. There is no trustworthy information. So I started approaching potential investors who would invest into my project. And when you approach the cold email, it's okay. But when you talk in person, they give much more information. And I approached one big investor working in the Islamic finance sector, and he said, if your project would be like Bitcoin, I would invest you, but I'm sorry. Actually, Islamic finance, in search for projects that they would sell hot pies in the market. So actually, if you go for the conventional sector, the ones who invest heavily into people, it's actually big conventional banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citibank, HSBC. They heavily invest into talents. Whether it's a program for taking new professionals or the projects, they are the ones who invest. But if you go, for example, into Islamic finance industries, they actually don't have programs that would invest into young talents. Actually, they hire people from conventional sectors, they provide tailored courses, and that's okay. That's why many who graduate with degree in Islamic finance, actually they go to other fields, very few in the industry. Some majority go to academia, and that's what I wanted to share.
So is it possible that and this is what I said in the morning, that if we see or if we feel that Islamic economy is not, the dream is not coming true, it's not that the dream is wrong, it's not that it doesn't work, it's actually that we have shortcomings, and these are some of the shortcomings in the history that we have, and that kind of stuff. So there was a question here before. So yeah, please keep it brief.
Thank you so much, respected panelists. My question is from Dr. Yılmaz. You provided a very insightful information about the Islamic moral issues. A famous German socialist, Max Weber, has written in his series of essays under the name of the Protestant Ethic in the Spread of Capitalism. And he says that the modern capitalism has actually emerged based on the Protestant ethics and work ethics of Protestants. And the religion of Protestants encourage people to work, to do business, and enterprise. How do you compare and contrast these two things with the religion of Islam? How Islamic values influence economic activities?
Okay, thank you for the question. As far as I understand, it was too loud. His question is about the Max Weber's, one of the greatest thinkers in the history, thought about the rise of capitalism based on the Protestant ethics. So there is a specific ethics for the rise of capitalism. And what about the Islamic economic system? Isn't it the question? Okay, thank you. In answering this question, I can say that this is a very interesting point. Why? Because if we look at the last 40, 50 years, or more than 50 years, the experience of Islamic economic system and the rise of Islamic economic thinking and the practical aspect of it, which is Islamic finance, we see the similar pattern. It's about the capital accumulation. We need to accumulate capital to grow as an Islamic finance industry. So this is the capital accumulation aspect. And in the 18th century, the rise of the emergence of capitalism rested on this idea. Without accumulating capital, you cannot grow as a company, as other institutions as well. Therefore, their claim is that capital should be accumulated in the few people's hands. Otherwise, you cannot become strong financially and economically and also politically. So that's their arguments. So on the other side, we see that, yes, we also as Muslims, we also should accumulate capital, but from an Islamic point of view. How come? That's a very important question. Because Islam suggests sharing. Sharing means dividing the capital into different parts. So not only the capital in the hands of few people, but the vast majority of people. So reaching a wasat ummah, the wasat ummah means there is a large size of groups of individuals who has above the survival level and also rich and powerful people. But the important thing is that the vast group of people or individuals, we need to give them basic rights and fulfillments in terms of like Ghazali's, Daruriya and the other approach, the necessities, essentials. So that's very important, and this is a very good question because capital accumulation, if we do not question this capital accumulation through an Islamic way, we cannot reach an authentic solution, I guess. That's my point.
Thank you, Brother Raza. Second last question, please, and then give the microphone to the gentleman for the last. Yes, please keep it brief. Thank you.
شكرا جزيلا. أنا عندي بس ملاحظة بسيطة فيما يختص بالاقتصاد الأخلاقي. الاقتصاد الأخلاقي يختلف عن الاقتصاد الرأسمالي والاقتصاد الاشتراكي، لأنه الاقتصاد الاشتراكي احتكاري بس احتكار لأفراد، والاقتصاد الاشتراكي احتكاري بس احتكار للدولة. أما الاقتصاد الإسلامي فهو اقتصاد تشاركي، فلذلك ما في علاقة ما بين الرأسمالية والإسلام. النقطة الثانية، الإسلام أساساً قبل أن يبعث سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم كان في تجارة، كان في اقتصاد، لكن جاء الإسلام هزم التجارة لمصلحة البشرية كما هزم العلاقات الزوجية ايضا لمصلحه البشريه. شكرا جزيلا.
This is an excellent really expression. There are elements in الاقتصاد in the capitalist system that are correct, and there are elements also in the socialist system or even communist that are also correct. And when you put these elements and take away the other elements like monopolistic trends in the capital, or as he said, monopoly of the state or of the government, when you remove it there, then you base it on al-adl. Really, it's part of al-adl to acknowledge private ownership, and if I own a thing, I own it, and I have the right to dispose of it my way. But yet, there are rights to others in what I own. So when I recognize these, I put the two sides in the appropriate kind of combination. And this is the Islamic economic system.
Thank you. Last question.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for this call. Islamic economy is a very huge topic. But I would like to concentrate about one important thing in my question to Dr. Turan. It's regarding to how we can integrate between technology and the Islamic economy. Especially for us as a Muslim. We have, in OIC, we have more than 52 countries. If we can just only for one point is the payment, online payment or modern payment, financial payment for the Muslim community. Until the moment, we don't have even one platform that we are going to use for all Muslim communities in these 52 countries. For example, we are using Western products. We are using Visa card, Visa, Master, PayPal, for example. But we have the capability to come with the products that assist our own community in all these Muslim countries. I can see this form actually is a very good opportunity to start to think in Islamic level, not even Islamic level, even to think in global level, and provide a proper solution. And not to come here and giving theories, to discuss about anything, but we have to come and with the real products that assisting to solve problems in our society. For example, now we try to see the banking system in the entire world. It's designed and architected and made by the West themselves, and all of this financial system actually is corrupted. They are making money from money, and in Islam it's called corrupted, it's riba. But they are working, and all of us have to use it, because we don't have a proper solution, we don't have alternatives. All of us are using MasterCard and Visa card. But we as a Muslim, did we provide alternative for our own people to use it? And we say, okay, this is haram for you to use because we have another solution. My own question is, did we have the capability, especially we have full support from the top administration of this country, which actually will not provide from many experienced people, that the government openly asks you, provide us a solution, give us alternatives. Because when we see how Muslim, like the population for the Muslim is 117, it's a big market. So how we can, it's just only for example, for the payment platform. And also another thing, we have a lot of issues when we discuss about the Islamic economy, but I just try to focus about what Mr. Turan mentioned, because in Turkey now they have a Turkey platform, it's a good solution, but unfortunately it's only in Turkey. Then we have the ability to upgrade it to become an Islamic label, for example, for the online payment platform, and this is, it's actually a lot of things, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, brother, for raising a very, very important point. I cannot agree more with you. Dr. Melih, please, within 30 seconds, if you can.
Actually, very good points you have addressed. This is a problem, for example, in Launch, as I mentioned, with the crowdfunding platform. They are raising donations for Palestine and for Gaza, and big online payment gateways like Wise, like Stripe are cutting the service because they are raising donations for Gaza, for Palestine. This is a very big problem. And now I know there are some academics and some entrepreneurs are trying to create an online payment gateway, but we could not. I think we cannot solve this problem with governments. We cannot solve this OIC countries' mindset. There was some attempts of the aid. They tried to create cryptocurrency years ago, but there's nothing. I think the problem is here. The Muslim society, the Muslim rich man, rich woman, do not invest in venture capital. This problem could be solved just with venture capital and with an entrepreneurial mindset. An entrepreneur should create a startup to solve this problem. There are some in capital markets that they have shown, but we need more money to give young people, to give entrepreneurs to solve this problem. For example, in the world there is an big accelerator, it's called Y Combinator. This accelerator is investing and accelerating startups to unicorn. And they are based in San Francisco in Silicon Valley. And regardless of business model, they are also investing in Islamic fintechs like Al-Baraka, like Invest, and like some Islamic products, Muslim. You know, Y Combinator is a non-Muslim oriented accelerating program. But they are seeing this opportunity. But the Muslim rich man, the Muslim holdings, the Muslim banks don't have any big global accelerating program for Muslim products, for Islamic products. We can solve this problem with such attempts. Of course, there are some private attempts like Hassan VC, like Aleph Accelerator, but their funding is not enough to solve such problems. So we need to create an accelerating program. I think ICYF has an international integrations accelerating, and they are also part of it. But this is just an accelerator, and holding companies, Islamic banks, should invest such accelerating programs and should invest such venture capital funds in order to solve this problem. There exists an institution, but the funding should be more. But we can solve this problem with this kind of venture capital funds and entrepreneurs, I think.
Thank you very much. We have been asked by the organizers to close the session. I'm so sorry that we cannot take any more questions. I know that there is a lot of excitement in the room, but the panelists are, I think, available for most of the day. So please feel free to approach them, during the day. Just one small, closing note. What you see on the stage can only happen in Istanbul. And this is one of the, having a cat. Stepping in again and again on the a live conference stage, I think it is something very unique and Well, I would like to thank the audience first of all for your patience, for your engagement, and for a very good discussion. I would like to thank all the panelists for the wonderful perspective that you have presented. Starting all the way from the conceptualization to the realization of the concept of Islamic economy. And I would also like to thank Al-Baraka Forum and the organizers and the sponsors of this event. I believe that it has been actually a great success, mashallah, and yesterday was very, very encouraging to see the President of the Republic, the Vice President of the Republic, the Central Bank Governor, and so many dignitaries, and Sheikh Abdullah Saleh Kamal and Sheikh Yusuf Al-Labibi, every very, very clear vocal about the importance of Islamic economy, Islamic finance, and the opportunity, inshallah, in Turkey and beyond, throughout the Muslim world. I think we really need to take this forward. And after the discussion of this morning, I am the first one actually to put my hand on my heart, and having all of you witness that inshallah I will do my level best to make sure that I do whatever is possible within my capability to make this dream of Islamic economy true, inshallah, before my time comes of leaving this world. And I would humbly encourage all of you to please make the same niyyah, please make the same intention, and put your efforts behind it. We are the people who will make this dream a reality, no one else. And I'm sure that together we can do it.
Dr. Raza, thank you very much. If I could kindly ask you to stay on stage for just a bit.